Ow! Fuck! Ladies, gentlemen, gamers, and League of Legends lovers, enjoyers, enthusiasts, and patch aficionados, welcome back to another patch notes review. Patch 14.24 to be exact, and we have a couple of important things to go over this patch. Not necessarily with balance, but with some controversy. So let's get into it. We're taking a trip into the arcane. Still, I think the show's been done for I think like a couple weeks now, maybe like two. Sadly, I still haven't seen Arcane season 2 because I am an employed individual. I will not be watching Arcane season 2 until I am unemployed, or maybe I get hit in the head and I get rid of this stupid requirement. Either way, I heard it was really good, and this is going to be, despite Arcane being over, still a very Arcane themed patch. So let's get into it. For the last patch of 2024, wait, really? Oh shit, I guess for the rest of the month we're not getting anything. And then we're going into the new season. Damn, I forgot preseason is really short now. For the last patch of 2024, we're celebrating the end of Arcane with Victor's update, and we're going to talk about that. A batch of Arcane skins, including the first Exalted skin, and we're going to talk about that. Arcane Fracture Jinx, we're going to talk about that. And a brand new type of cosmetic called a Nexus Finisher. We're going to talk about all that. Excuse me. We also have some other stuff in store for you this patch, like introducing the Sanctum, area imbalance adjustments, and a special clash tournament on the Bridge of Progress, and a new Mythic Shop rotation, which no one really cares about. On the gameplay side of things, we got Victor's update, follow-up on our recent Warwick and Rel changes, and Bessa's first larger balance pass, and an otherwise normal sweep of the game's biggest balance outliers. So we're going to go over the skins at the end, but like I said, we have a lot to say about them. We might even say it now, but I'll go into it a little bit now and probably talk about it a little bit later as well. Basically, this new Exalted shit... Well, first of all, let's do with the easy stuff. So the Arcane... Or not the Arcane. The Nexus Finishers. This is something that I think... Well, most of us, I think, they got from TFT, which TFT basically copied the method from gachas. So gachas have, for better or for worse, invaded League of Legends because that's how you're going to start getting some of these skins. And they specifically want these skins to be, how they say, luxury items. So they want it to cost an arm and a leg, and they want it to where most of us cannot have it. Oh, what a time to be alive. So the Nexus finishers I don't think are that bad. I believe they cost Mythic Essence, and I don't think they're that much. I think they're 40, which is about the price of 4 random skins, because you could get 4 skin shards from that for that same price. So it's not terrible, and we're gonna get more in the future. What I simply don't understand, what boggles my mind and tickles me silly in the bumhole, is why has Riot not added more options for cosmetics? Now, obviously, the bad route that we're going down is we have to pay for all of it. We can't get it for free. Although we kind of can. We can get mythic essence from the new system that they're doing, which I won't talk about it too much because that's more for preseason and the like 2 hour plus long video probably. But we still can get mythic essence with the old system and with the new system. With the new system, it seems like a lot less, and there's a lot of problems with that. But again, that's for another video. Essentially, though, I don't think it's necessarily too bad, but it's just the question of why don't they do everything else? We've wanted map skins, right? And they do map skins, and thankfully it's for free sometimes. Now, obviously, there's the custom community that adds a lot of great map skins that Riot says, oh, we can't do it. It's really hard. We don't have time. But people who aren't getting paid and they're doing it on their free time are doing it. So what's the excuse there? $1 billion company. But the other big thing is we want other things like announcer packs as well. Now, obviously, I don't think these things should be all free. I think we should be able to earn them for free, or you should buy them if you don't want to wait or you don't want to grind, and maybe you shouldn't get all of them. I'm not technically, or I'm not, it's really hard. I want to tread this really fine line. I don't typically hate going against, or I don't really hate the gacha system per se, although it does feel really shitty. At the end of the day, they do have to make money, and I hate having to defend them, but I don't see any other way unless you just outright buy it, but they make a lot more money. From a business perspective, I understand why they're going the route they're going, although I hate it from a consumer perspective. But regardless, This is where we're getting more gacha in League. You know, the Ari skin did really well. The Ari Faker skin that was like what, like $200 to $500, depending on which one you got, or 50 if you're poor. It did really, really well, and that basically cemented our fate of having these really luxury skins. Now, the main issue with the Jinx skin was it wasn't that good, and I'll try and bring it up on screen here as well if we could see it. Okay, well, it's going to be at the bottom, so I'll talk about it more when we get to the bottom there, but the Jinx skin wasn't necessarily that good, and they had to change it, and again, for a $250 skin, what are you really getting? I don't know if the Nexus finisher is included. It damn well better be, but we're in the era of now there's going to be gacha in actual League. It was already in TFT. They got it, they got it from that. It is what it is, although it's not too good. But we have a lot to talk about, especially with the Victor stuff, but we'll get to that. Either way, that's a little intro. AFK detection improvements. Starting in patch 14.24, we'll be improving our AFK detection, which tracks if players are active. Now players will be considered AFK if they are idling in the fountain for an extended period of time at any moment during the course of the game. This means early surrender will also be available to players who find themselves in a match with a teammate idling in the fountain. So, this is interesting. In the past, you would AFK and the teammates would just be kind of in prison with you until 15, or if you're really old like me, until 20, because there was no early surrender back in the day. So I think this is just like part of the general trend that Riot's going on, which is cracking down on, I would say, toxicity. AFK is sometimes used because you're not, AFK can be used as a weapon, but I think most of the time, what I kind of feel, and this happened to me once, and I got like pissed scared of it. One time I went to the bathroom in loading. I'm like, okay, I picked my champ, I went to loading, I went to go pee, I came back, and we remade the game because if you don't move in the first 30 seconds, you get fucked. And it's like, are you kidding me? What the hell? But, oh my god, it's so stupid. So, essentially, I think they're kind of, they're a little too strict on it, per se. I think they're really, really strict on the AFK timers. I think maybe at least make it like a minute or something, but even then, I literally can't go take a piss, and it's not like anything's happening in the beginning, at least in low elo, which sadly I think I'm in, but, in high elo, you have invades, you have scouting, you have all these things, but I think the AFK detection, having it be throughout the whole game, is kind of sucky too. I think this is where it kind of is crossing the line. The line is being crossed here from the fact that, let's just say you have a power outage or something, right? Obviously, it's going to hurt your team, but it's out of your control. And then you can come back and reconnect usually pretty soon in most cases. Now, if you're AFKing, you're AFKing, right? That's what it is. But I feel like for the most part, toxicity in League has gone down a decent amount. I haven't really seen too many of it. Now, granted, I haven't been really playing too much actual Rift. I've been playing ARAM and TFT. I've branched out. I've retired from my competitive era for now. But, I don't know how I feel about this being extended throughout. I don't know if this is only in the early game, only for the first 15 minutes, but we gotta see. We gotta see. I think this is going a little bit too far because this shit is really strict. So either way, here's the Sanctum in the Mythic Shop, so I guess we'll talk about it here. With patch 14.24, the Sanctum is live, and with it, our first exalted skin, Arcane Fractured Jinx. And it really hurts me because my first ever champion was Jinx, right? The first main, my beloved. And to see this happen and for me to not be able to get her skin is really sad. In case you missed it, we put out an article about the Sanctum Exalted skins and how to get them a bit ago. Basically gacha. If you play TFT, you know exactly what this is. The Mythic Shop this patch is getting a major facelift and content rework. Cool. So basically what they're doing is I think they really just want Mythic Essence to come from, and this is kind of going into the past for next season. They want Mythic Essence to mainly come from the Sanctum. Excuse me. Disgusting. That's how I feel about this. So they don't want it coming from the past or the rewards anymore. But again, that's for later. That's for a future video. But yeah, so Exalted Skins and Nexus Finishers, removing a few redundancies or things you never spent Mythic Essence on in the first place, like emotes and shit. We're also we're also using it to reintroduce a handful of things you've been asking for us to bring back for a while. Legacy skins, event chromas, which is probably one of the bigger ones, and emotes. I don't know. Actually, believe it or not, there's a lot of people who actually like emotes, so that's, I'm in the minority here. Now, granted, the fact that you have to pay Mythic Essence to get it, kind of sucky, but whatever. Those long-lost items you've been waiting to collect haven't seen the light of Klein in years, you'll have them now. Just to lay it out there, the Sanctum will serve as the new primary way to acquire Mythic Essence. There it is. You can spend that mythic essence in the shop for premium content, new and old prestige skins, legacy content, etc., etc. You'll notice a couple of things missing from the mythic shop offerings, such as exchanging mythic essence for blue essence, orange essence, or skin shards. Wait, what? What? Wait a minute. These were either rarely purchased or didn't fit the philosophy of focusing mythic essence towards exclusive content. Wow. So I don't care about the blue essence and the orange essence. That one, if you're using that, that's essentially like I'm trying to think of a good comparison. I only know the gacha comparison too. So that's like essentially using like the gacha premium currency on energy. It's like something you should never do. But I really don't like that they're taking out the skin shard thing. That's kind of suck ass. I do not like that at all. With the amount of mythic essence I have, and we can actually check it right here too. I'll flex a little bit on y'all, right? I have 875. That means I could get, what is it, 87 skins? Because each skin, oh my god, look at that fucking Renata skin. Each skin is 10. So I can get, 87? I think, yeah, I could get 87 skins. But now I can't because they're taking it away, which is stupid. But either way, I'm really sad about that. Everything else I didn't care. But yeah, that's interesting. So again, Sanctum and Mythic Shop. I'm glad the Mythic Shop is getting a facelift, although they are taking away the skin shards. That's bad. Everything else is probably good. I just don't know about this idea of the Sanctum because now I've already kind of said it over and over again. I think legendaries have gone up and down in quality. They're basically a roller coaster. Some legendaries are good, some legendaries are not, and it really depends. Like if the person cares to make it good, then great, and then they get fired right after, ironically enough. But because that's what happened to the guy who made the Vagar one, the Halloween Vagar one, mind you. So it really sucks that this is what it is now, but we have to get ready. As long as it doesn't take away from the quality of the things that we poor people can get, I guess it's okay. Because at the end of the day, it is a luxury product. It is what it is. It does feel bad, but if this funds things similar to Swarm, because I really do believe that Swarm was funded by the Faker skin and, all the other cosmetics that they sell and shit. I really, really hope it just goes back into the game and doesn't fill someone's greedy pockets. But we'll never know these things until it's too late. But we'll be cautiously optimistic, hopefully. But it just hurts that it's for Jinx, man. So that's the first controversy. Here's the second one staring us right in the face. So this is pretty big spoilers for Arcane Season 2. I probably should have said that in the beginning. And, sadly, if you're like me and you haven't watched it, you really can't avoid it at some points or another. So here's the Victor update. Join the glorious evolution. Victor's evolution hits the Rift Dispatch, which is an update to better line up his design between League and Arcane. So it comes with enhanced visuals, some new splash arts, and a few gameplay adjustments. So the interesting part of this is that a lot of people do not like this. And I think there's some valid reasons why. So to kind of TLDR this shit, Victor looks like a squinty. He basically looks like a skinny twink. Like, look at him. He looks really, really skinny. And a lot of his older stuff, especially some of the actual in-game models, we're not even talking about the splash arts. Creator Victor, I think, in the old skin versus like the new reworked one, looks way better. He actually has like an orb. He has more effects on it. It just makes more sense thematically. And I'm getting a lot of this information not from my own personal judgment because I don't play Victor too much. I'm getting it from the Victor mains. This is where it's like you compare this one and he looks emaciated, which again, if that's where they want to take him, that's where they want to take him. But from the people who liked old Victor to get to this new one, it's a decently big jump and it kind of feels really bad. And I don't fully disagree with them. Like, I think it's cool, right? I don't necessarily mind it, but I'm also not a Victor main, so I shouldn't have too much of a say in this, but I don't know. I gotta see the gameplay and stuff, but visually, I don't really care per se. I will say I think the older ones looked cooler because they look bulkier and stronger. This doesn't look like a glorious evolution with machinery. This looks like some weird amalgamation of like magic shit. Like he looks more like a mage than he does like a machinist. So take that as you will. I mean, maybe they're getting away from that. He's not really about, metal anymore. He's more about just progress and magic and hex tech. Obviously, if you've seen Arcane Season 1, you'll know. But I think they're basically shifting the character and it's rubbing the people who like the character a little bit in the wrong way, and I agree. And some of the skins are just, I think, straight out worse. I forgot which Victor skin it was. I think it was Oathsworn or something. But one of the skins, the staff is literally just the staff and there's no like ball or orb in it. But in the previous one and the current one, there is. And it just looks better. Like there's more effects. It's literally just straight up better. So that's the next controversy. Again, my personal opinion, I don't necessarily care, slash they have a little bit of a valid point with some of the skins. But it is what it is. Either way. Nexus finishers. Oh boy. So the main thing I have to question about Nexus finishers is if I buy it, is it only for me or is it for the whole game? Because one of the biggest things with skins is you want to show them off. That's why there's no thing to disable them. When you buy a skin, you want to show it off to other people. So if you have a Nexus finisher, but someone else buys a different Nexus finisher, let's just say in the future if they release more, whose Nexus finisher gets called, right? Is it the one who last shots it? What if you both don't touch it? Do neither of you see your own one? It's very interesting how they're going to do this. If it's just for you, if you're only seeing your own one, then it's like I feel like that might off put some people from buying it, but I don't know. Either way, let's take a look. We have a new type of content coming to the Mythic shop this patch, introducing Nexus finishers, finishing your wallet. Nexus finishers are a new way to style on your opponents and your allies with custom VFX, SFX animations, and more. So they kind of, I think, tested this, but not really, with the new ARAM map, the Bridge of Progress. If you've played it, you know what I mean. When you win, when you lose, depending on what side you're on, you have a nice little custom animation for winning and losing. And it's really nice. Now, it's not necessarily a finisher. It's more when like the victory or defeat screen pops up. It looks really cool, but it's nothing I think that should be fucking paid for. But in this day and age, you can monetize anything, which is sad. So, let's see what happens. At the very end of the match, a randomly selected player from the winning team's equipped finisher will play. Okay, so it's random. Visible to everyone in the match, while this first one is themed after Jinx and Arcane, future ones will not always be directly related. You can equip Nexus finishers for use with any champion or skin you have selected. The first Nexus finisher will be available at 250. I thought it was 40. At 250 Mythic Essence for the duration of this event. Oh dear God in heaven and hell. What the fuck? This is ridiculous. So that's the price of 25 skin shards, essentially. Now, I don't know the straight up price of Mythic Essence, and we could kind of check it right now as well if we go to the shoppy here. So with the shop, if we search for Mythic Essence, which I believe we can buy outright, is it an accessories? I know we can buy it. I definitely know we could buy it. It's definitely not in the Emporium. Is it in here? Fuck, I don't know where it is. Okay, it's not in here. Where the fuck is it? It's usually at the bottom. Or maybe it's only in like the special bundles. I don't know where it usually is. Huh. Okay, maybe it's not here for right now, but regardless, that is ridiculous. That is extremely pricey. I'm actually shocked by that. But yeah, so I was gonna say this is something I might be interested if it's like 40 or 50. But the fact that it's 250, man, and it's randomly selected too, like, oof. Man, again, you don't need it. It is fully cosmetic, but the more you alienate your player base and you make them feel like shit, the worse it's gonna be in the future. So I'm really scared by this. So either way, we're finally moving to the champions. So, Ambessa, what do I think of her? I've played her a little bit. I think she's interesting. I think she's fun, but I think she was a little bit underwhelming in some ways from what I expected of her. Now, maybe that could just be me, but when I first used her, the biggest thing I think is confusing is what build to go on her. And I think this is a classic case of Riot wants us to do this, but we want to do that, or this is what's actually good. Riot essentially doesn't know what we should do. And Bess is weird. I think she's good, and especially late game, like, oh my god, she's really good. But from what I've seen, I don't know what to feel about her though. I feel like her early game is weird and weak, but maybe it's meant to be that way because late game she feels really fucking good. But let's see. Bessa is still looking a bit strong after adjustments last patch, specifically in the hands of higher skilled brackets. One of the issues she's facing is that she doesn't have enough losing lane matchups. Really? I mean, I feel like with her, it's really easy to lane because your Q is such long range. You need to farm, you just Q safety. And your mobile is shit too, so it's like, if they go in on you, you just get away, unless they can lock you down. It's sort of like Gnar in a way where you fight on your terms, so it's really hard to have a losing lane. Because you can somewhat farm with the Q. At least I think. We're looking to introduce more this patch. DPS focused stat checkers. They should have the edge on Ambessa. So the shield duration of W is going down by 0.5. That's pretty decent. The shield value is going down on every single aspect, both scaling and base, which is crazy. And then the E, which I believe is her weakest ability personally, is getting slightly nerfed. Oh, wait, not slightly. Oh my god, it's going from 20%, 80 to 60. Wow. Okay, so she's going to do a little bit less damage, which I think is fine. I think the main combo she should have is her Q. I think this is okay. I think Ambessa is really strong, especially later on. So this isn't too bad. Corki! So what do we think of the Cork? As I always say, I think Cork is low-key really good. I think it's kind of sad that I still don't know where he goes in mid or in bot. I wish he was still a bot laner. And they did kind of scale him more towards crit. But you still build him some weird-ass way. I still think he's really, really good, though. I think he's kind of sleeper, but I guess we'll see if he is or isn't. Corki was reworked as a straightforward lane bully, and though he's succeeded on that front, he's doing too much well in the early game, which I think shouldn't be the case. Corki scales like a fucking truck. His passive is so fucking crazy. We want Corki players to do more than simply press buttons while marching forward to win their lanes. We're dropping a bit of his early game damage so that the answer to when to go in isn't always, which is hilarious. So the main perpetrator of this is his E. His E is a really good ability. They're only nerfing it by 20 base and then 10% bonus. Bonus doesn't hold that much weight, but especially when it's only 10%. I thought they would go harder with that, ironically enough. The base damage hurts a little bit too, but it is a damage over time thing, so you do have to hit them for the full duration to get the full amount, obviously. I think this is fine. They obviously don't want to gut Corki. Corki is really cool. I really like Corki, oddly enough. And I think this is okay. I think this is a light tap on the wrist, which is fine. I still think he's pretty good. Elise, I hate this character. As I always say, Elise, Lee Sin, and Kha'Zix are my most hated junglers because they are so fucking useless and bad and suck ass. So let's see what they're doing. Elise has been doing very well as of late. Well, I haven't seen it, especially in higher skill brackets. Well, that's why. Where her early lane dominance more reliably leads to game-ending leads. We think it's important to preserve her high burst assassination power, which is really only in the beginning. So we're reducing her early game by giving other players room to fight back. Her base health is going down by 30. See, when they write this much and then they just do that, it feels like, wow, is that really going to solve the goal? And it might, but I really feel like it doesn't. Like 30 health, I don't know. That's like half of an auto. Maybe. Maybe a full auto considering armor and everything. It's like, I mean, I guess. Again, it feels like they're giving her and Corki a slap on the wrist. Graves. I actually think Graves is interesting. So, Graves is sort of... He's one of the most popular jungles in the game for, I think, a long time. He was really good in almost all instances. I would say he went on for really long, and he was really fucking good. And then they took away the MR and the E. They made it only armor, and then they reduced a lot of his damage. Basically, they just made him shittier. I don't think Graves is terrible, but I don't think he's that good. But I honestly don't know, because I don't see him enough. So let's see what they're doing. Graves was meaningfully nerfed last patch when we addressed the Collector and the ranged version of Yomu's Ghostblade. Despite that, he's still climbing the jungle charts, especially in higher skill brackets, and this patch we're bringing down his Burst. So I guess he's a little too good. How bad are they doing it? So his initial Q is the same. His secondary Q, which is usually the one that's harder to hit, is getting... Wow, it's getting nerfed by 20% bonus AD. Okay. So he's going to do a little bit less on his Q, which is part of his burst, but I guess this is alright. It's hard to say, because it's usually death by 1,000 cuts. Not really, referring to Gwen or anything, but Graves is... I don't know, I feel like he's not seen too much, so he can't be that crazy. But again, I haven't played too much, so I don't really know. But either way, let's keep going. LeBlanc. What do I think of LeBlanc? I'm actually quite scared of LeBlanc. I feel like they've been secretly low-key buffing her. And I come from Season 4. I know that's a long time ago, but that's when Deathfires used to be in the game. That's when LeBlanc was one of the terrors of ADCs. Like, if you see LeBlanc, you're basically dead. There's nothing you could do. I think LeBlanc is decently hard to warrant her blowing people up, though. Especially because they did make her kit a lot more overtime bursty, which is kind of what they did to Akali too. It's really weird. If Faker's not playing LeBlanc, I really feel like she's not good. I feel like she should get more of a buff, but I don't think it's sleeper OP. I also do think they just kind of made her kit harder to do because you have to wait over time for stuff. But LeBlanc is interesting. LeBlanc is a very hard character, though, so maybe she does deserve a buff. LeBlanc has a high ban rate right now, so it's interesting that they're not saying anything else, but let me keep reading. Her win rate isn't far off from being reasonable. Oh, so we're lightly nerfing her to reduce how frustrating she can be to play against. So it's not that she's good, it's that people think she's good. We're specifically targeting her early game since she's particularly stronger in higher skill brackets. And she already doesn't scale very well, which is crazy. Okay, 5 damage, it's whatever. We don't need to talk about this. Okay, Yi. Yi is very interesting. I think Yi is... He used to be really good. He used to be one of my favorite junglers in the game. I used to watch Cowsup on the daily. I think now, Yi is not that good. Now, granted, I've been using him a lot in ARAM, and in ARAM he feels like shit. But Yi is a very simple character, and I think he's finally getting to the point where he's really feeling his age with people similar to, like, Tryndamere. I think Yi is not that good. My favorite Yi build was always like hybrid tank bruiser Yi, hybrid like assassin basically, because he was tanky but he could still kill everyone. Like it was the era of Yi. Yi was so good. Now you can do other things. I don't think it's that good, and that's just like an alternate thing with the items. And Kog'Maw kind of suffers from the same thing. Kog'Maw is still pretty decent, but the items just kind of changed a lot that he uses. The on hit items at least. So we can't really go AP Yi anymore, and that shit was like stupid broken back in the day. So it's really just like full crit, full assassin, or hybrid tank, but hybrid tank doesn't feel well. I don't think he feels extremely good. And he's not meant to, right? He's a feast or famine character. It's hard to get him into a middle ground. But let's see what they're doing. We're buffing crit strike on Master this patch with the primary goal of reintroducing crit as an alternate build, because it's not even an alternate build because it sucks so much. We intend and expect his primary build to still be on hit, which isn't that good, which isn't being touched with this buff, so this is for everyone who enjoys item builds from 2009. Huh! We're also delivering a small change that makes more apparent what your total damage to the enemy is. Okay, let's see this shit. So critical strike scaling is 49% with IE to now 56 to 86. Holy shit. Wait, that's actually kind of crazy. What the fuck? Floating damage displays now sums total on a single target alongside the individual hits. Damn. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. 49 to 86, that's almost nearly doubling the amount. That's actually crazy. So the Q is actually gonna start chunking people. Assassin Yi might be back. That's actually pretty exciting. I love the variety with Yi, because Yi, historically, you can almost do everything on him. You could go tank, although I wouldn't recommend it. You could go on-hit hybrid, which is my favorite. You could go full assassin, or you could go, back in the day, full AP. You can't do that one anymore, sadly. But, yeah, no, I think he is very varied, and the fact that they're trying to build crit back, or bring crit back, is very nice. I think it's a very cool thing. Dr. Mundo. What do we think of Dr. Mundo? I think Mundo's really silly. So I saw this clip recently, and obviously I know this clip is just a clip, but I saw this clip of this Mundo just walking towards this Ashe, and the Ashe was trying her hardest, and it was late game. She was trying her hardest to like kite him, and it was working, but he was letting her do it, and then when he got to her, he just like freaking like just ate her alive in like 4 shots. I was like, oh my god. And she spent like a minute straight almost just autoing him to death, but it didn't matter. Granted, it is Ashe too, and maybe she didn't build right, but Mundo is interesting. I feel like I don't see him too often. I don't feel like he's that good. He doesn't offer too much to the team. He's a for fun player. If you're a for fun player, you play Mundo. But do I think he's good? I think he's fun. I don't think he's terrible, but I don't think he's that good. Even though his E gives him a surprising amount of stats, damage more specifically. But I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Mundo. I would love to see him be a little bit better. Personally. The Good Doctor is over... Oh, wait. The Good Doctor? What the hell? The Good Doctor is overpowering in lower skill brackets. So, again, that Ashe person that I mentioned. We're toning down his power a bit. We're reducing his less viable damage while retaining his durability and satisfaction from the cleavers. So, what are they doing? So, the bonus attack damage is scaling slightly less of his maximum health. This is another slap on the wrist. Again, it's noticeable. You're going to see a red mark, but it's nothing crazy. I'm actually happy they're not nerfing Mundo too badly. So I guess they're just nerfing him for the shitters, which is fine. Poppy, Papadopoulos. So I think Riot finally realized Poppy was kind of sleeper OP. She was really fucking good. Like, if you go Poppy with fucking Hail of Blades, I'm scared. So they were nerfing her. I don't know where she landed. I still think she's pretty good, just in lieu of her kit. But I'm wondering what they're gonna nerf. Are they gonna nerf more damage, more tank? I don't really know. If anything, I think what's the most reasonable is the damage, because I think Poppy, weirdly enough, does a lot of fucking damage early for no reason. So either way, I mean that's why people take Hail of Blades. They do it to get early kill pressure when you're a support as Poppy, which is crazy. So what are they doing? Base armor decreased, armor growth increased, Q damage adjusted. Okay. So they're still talking about how powerful Poppy's support is. And they're nerfing her early game, but they're letting her scale. Oh. So her armor at base is going down, which I believe she gets passive armor from her W. Her armor growth is going up, and then her Q is getting buffed on bonus AD and base damage. Okay, so the Q's doing more. All right, I mean, interesting. I mean, so they're making her squishier, but she's doing a little bit more damage. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, the base damage is lower, at least earlier, but I guess they're talking about the really early level. So I guess this does kind of solve the issue. It kind of does, and then you do scale harder. I'm okay with this. I think this fixes the main issue of Poppy is too lethal early, which is insane to think of. Rel. So Rel is interesting. I think Rel is only really used in competitive. To this day, she's the one champion. I still don't really know her abilities even after rework. I think she's decently hard too, but I think she looks cool, and she is pretty good when played correctly. It's similar to the LeBlanc thing, but not as bad as LeBlanc, where she's effective. You just need to play her kind of hard. So what are they doing? Rel's health is increased to base, passive resistance stolen, and minimum steal increased, W steal increased. So she sucked. So she was weaker than what they wanted, blah blah blah. She feels like she can frontline as a low income tank. That is hard to do, but okay. So her base health is going up, her passive steal is going up by 1%, the minimum steal is now 1.5 instead of 1.2, and it's scaling, okay. Ferromancy W Crashdown is now giving you a greater shield, both in base and in scaling. So if this was a nerf, I would say it's a little bit more than a light tap on the wrist. So this is a nice little stroke of the cock, I would say. Not bad. Rel is a little bit tankier. Cool. Riven. I think Riven is interesting. So we've had people like Aatrox come out who have kind of impeded on her niche, and whose kit is extremely similar. It's the same thing with the LeBlanc, ironically enough. Back in the day, Riven used to be the premier top laner. This is before like Fiora rework, by the way, too. Riven used to be like one of the people where if you're a top like player in top lane, you're playing Riven. Riven was just so good. Now I think things have come out to kind of displace her from that, as well as obviously like buff nerfs and stuff. I don't feel like Riven is that good. I really don't see Riven. I think Riven is very rare, and it's very sad because she's one of the hotties of League. She's like an old school like hot League girl. But I really don't see her anymore, and I would love to see her get buffed because I actually really like Riven. I think Riven's cool. What are they doing? Riven is performing a bit too well, particularly in high skill brackets. Well, that's only where she's going to perform well, I'll tell you that. Her level 9 Eclipse Power Spike gained a meaningful amount of damage with the buff, and now they're doing a trade-off. So the E shield is going down by 10. It's literally, again, a slap on the wrist. No one cares. Die Rumball. I always take Rumble and Kennen as the same. If Rumble's good, Kennen is usually good because it's usually the meta calling for them for team fighting. Or one of them is just really OP. I don't see much Rumble, so I think he's probably going to get a buff. Rumble ended up not so hotspot after several nerfs to reduce his power in Pro. Since Pro's mainly over because World is done, they're probably going to buff him. Since he's weaker in early game, we're compensating with much better late game damage. Oh, so what are they doing? The Q is going up by... I don't get it. What is changing here? 60, 90, oh, it's going up by 10% AP scaling. Okay, whatever. And it also scales off their max health. He's a very good pick into like tanky people. It's really crazy how good he is. And then the shield is now going from 25 to 30. Cool. So Rumble is slightly better. A lot of these changes are so boring, man. Oh my god. Swain, let's go through this quickly. So Swain is doing too good somehow, I guess with his new ult change. So they're slightly nerfing him. Cool. I've also seen this nasty combo, ironically enough. I've seen people going Swain, Scion bot, and it's actually so busted. Oh my god, it's so stupid looking. Swain grabs him with the E. Well, Scion slows them with his E. Swain grabs him with his E and then pulls them into Scion's fully charged Q, and they just kill them early. I don't know how well the comp scales, but it was pretty interesting. I really like that. But, you know, Swain's interesting. He did get a buff to his ult. I haven't seen Swain too much at all. Again, I haven't really been playing, though, but it's surprising that they're nerfing him, but it can't be by much, because Swain, for most of his existence, has been annoying sometimes, but he's never really been overtly good. Like, despite the amount of, like, buffs and, like, drugs they're pumping into this guy, it's like he's just never been something that I've been, like, scared of or fearful of. He's not bad at times, sure, but he's just never been, like, strong, which is sad. Old Swain, oh, let me tell you. Talon, I feel like Talon is almost never fucking played anymore. I feel like back in the day he was really cool and good. Now he's more like a gimmick character that really doesn't do anything. I'm almost tempted to put him in the same tier as Lee Sin, Elise, and Kha'Zix, but I wouldn't say that yet because he is decently fun, and I feel like he can do his job of getting in and getting out decently well. Although I feel like he is on the weaker side. But let's see what they're doing. Talon's been a truly excellent jungler and mid laner in a higher skilled play. Fuck. We're pulling back some of his extremely fast mid-game jungle clear and abnormally high magic resist, which should be impactful to both jungle and mid. So 39 to 36, and I always say, the less of it you have, the more it matters. The more you have, the less it matters. So losing this and starting to go towards the mid-30s, definitely might feel it. And then the passive is going down by 10% on monsters, so a slightly slower clear. Not bad, whatever, nothing crazy. Twitch! I honestly can't believe Twitch is getting touched. So usually, this is either A, because they want to shake up the meta, or B, because he's a problem. I don't think AP Twitch is that much of an issue anymore, and they saw to that way back when, which was sad, because AP Twitch was very fun. But AP Twitch was no more. I don't feel like Twitch is particularly bad, but I don't think he's particularly good. He's a very great late game carry, so I honestly don't know what they're going to do. Twitch is one of the harder ADCs to play due to his unique playstyle as a quasi-assassin. Him and Kai'Sa I really like. I like quasi-assassins. Even with that in mind, we don't think he should lose quite as many games as he currently does. To help our favorite Raton, I really hope he's in Arcane Season 2. We're giving a small power injection for the all smelly rat enjoyers out there. That's me. His attack speed duration will now match his ult duration. Oh, plus a little extra oomph to bring up his power. So his duration's not going to 6. Thank God. I would argue that is a buff, but it's more quality of life that should have just been there. But his attack speed is going up by 5. So it lasts longer. It's going slightly up. Again, this is not a crazy buff, but it's decent. Like, again, it's a stroke of the cock. Slap on the wrist and strokes of the cock. That's what we're getting this time. Excuse me. Okay, then we have Victor Victorious here. Okay, we're going to have to read this one. But before we read it, just kind of to say the area that Victor's in right now, balance-wise. He's in a similar position to LeBlanc. Back in the day, Victor was really fucking scary. He had a lot of burst, an extreme amount of burst. They replaced a lot of that with damage over time and more utility as well. Similar to LeBlanc, but LeBlanc has way less than Victor. I think Victor is better overall. In the team fight scenario at least. But his W basically feels like shit. Like, his W is so outdated, people literally just walk out of it. Once they get boots, they don't even have to worry about it unless he does something, which nothing else in his kit really synergizes with it, so it's sad. But I think old Victor was good. I think he's gone through a lot of changes, especially with the Hex Core, and the Hex Core being an item, to being a passive, to basically being an extra Rabadons for free, eventually. I think it was very interesting. He was kind of stepping on Syndra's niche as well, being like the scaling mage that you got from like an item or from levels. And they kind of took that away. I still think Victor's quite good though, but I'm curious to see what they're going to do now. Also ironic, they're using the old icon. But what are we going to see? So all abilities adjusted. We've got quite the update evolution ready for Victor this patch to better align his in-game and in-show portrayal in Arcane. So this is a really weird question too. I forgot to mention it before. Of all the people to choose, why Victor, right? why not just make it a skin? And this is where I've seen a lot of people sort of petition and want this. I don't think Riot is going to do this because they spent too much time, money, and hard work on this probably. But people are saying like, okay, Warwick got a skin for Arcane, Jinx got a skin for Arcane, Caitlyn, Vi, they all got skins. You're not changing them to Arcane, but you know, let's be real, some of them are already very close to Arcane anyway. But they're like, why Victor? Why didn't you just leave him alone? And it's a very interesting thing. I think it's a good question. But let's see. What are they doing? For his passive, we like for Victor to be able to evolve a bit more consistently. We're shifting some of his hex fragments from champion kills to cannon minions. So that's going to be a big help, actually. If you're behind, you basically get shit. Next up, we have some buffs to his Q and E to improve Victor's early game a bit. I think Victor's a great scaling mage. I don't think he has to have a great early game. The main thing I'm really wondering is their W. Like, if they can fix Victor's W, I think he'll be a lot better. So let's see. So that's to help him make trades. His W received a lot of under the hood work, but overall should benefit from some quality of life changes. I'm really curious to see what those are. Lastly, and perhaps the biggest change, Victor's R now receives an upgrade once fully evolved that lets his Arcane Storm grow in size with each takedown. Oh, really? I'm really curious now. Is that permanent? If that's permanent, that's crazy. There's no way it's permanent, though. I hope it is. I love infinite stacking things, permanent stacking things. So let's see. Hex fragments from cannons is getting buffed from 5 to 10. And then from takedown, it's getting lessened. Because you're probably going to get more cannons than you will takedown. So that's fine. I think that's fine adjusting the power. Not necessarily a buff, but low-key a buff. His Q. His shield is going up. Especially early. Not bad. His W. The slow is going up a little bit. Time spent in gravity field before stun is going up by a lot, which basically makes this defunct. Gravity field will no longer fail to stun in the appropriate amount of time. Slow application can no longer be slowed after being stunned by W, so now applies as long as you are within the gravity field. Slow debuff duration is 0.25. This is just nerfed. Aside from the 3% that they added in, this is a straight up nerf. What is this? Quality life improvements, improve readability and consistency in addition to a few bug fixes. The fact that you have to spend 2.5 whole seconds, this already was hard to stun. I'll be straight up honest, right? It was hard to stun people with Victor's W as is, and it takes 1.1 seconds. They over doubled it. This is horrible. This is actually terrible. What the fuck? Like, this got me pissed. What is this? So it's Hextech Ray, 10 less mana, cool. And then Arcane Storm, Glorious Evolution. So the ultimate can now evolve after evolving all other abilities, as it usually can. Before the upgrade basically made it move faster, I believe. Now what does it do? Evolving Arcane Storm now makes the storm grow 40% in size and gain plus 3 seconds of duration. Oh, that's actually really good. Maximum of 6 size increases and maximum of plus 6 seconds of overall duration. So is that every time he uses it, or is that permanent? I really hope it's not every time he uses it, although it probably is realistically. Damn. I mean, the growing in size is really good, so I don't know if they're taking away the movement speed from it. I don't even know if the movement speed is honestly still in, because again, I haven't used Victor too much. But that's kind of crazy. Oh my god. Damn. Huh. Interesting. Okay, well, Victor is interesting. I think the W is honestly just pissing me off a lot. The passive is good, the Q is alright, the E is alright, but they're minimal changes. Aside from the passive, I guess that's a bigger one, but the W feels like a straight up nerf, but we gotta see. The ult is interesting. Maybe that's why they nerfed the W, but damn. So, now we go to Wiener. Yeah, I don't know how to feel about Victor. You know, Victor means RIP, your champion is muddled. I wouldn't say he's completely gone, but he's definitely muddled for sure, which is sad. But let's keep going. So Wiener is an interesting character. He got reworked from old Warwick, and he severely needed it, and it was a very good rework. I think one of the main things is they need to improve Warwick's fantasy. I mean, one of his fantasies is chasing you down, which I think they did well. But another one of his fantasies should be like he doesn't die. Now that kind of stands on Mundo's fantasy as well. But Mundo and him do share not only a common creator, but common powers. Warwick's power is he's literally like, I don't want to say indestructible, because that's pretty much Mundo. But Warwick is extremely, extremely tough in the lore from what I remember. And I don't know. I think the biggest problem with Work is he's really fucking buggy, and they should maybe improve his late game. I feel like his late game is not that good. His E is very weird too. If you proc his E early, you lose the damage reduction, which I think is kind of cheap. It should just last for the whole duration. That should be a bug fix, personally. A quality of life bug fix. But regardless, in this patch, we're providing a feels improvement as a follow-up to the change we made last month. We're increasing Q's tap range to make up for the differences that increases range and hitbox, blah, blah, blah. Damage attack speed buff now has a much longer duration. Thank God. And a few more quality life improvements, which should make our favorite dad smoother to play. Hey, yo. We're dropping his base AD a touch just to make room for these other buffs. So he is also getting a skin. So that's also why. So his base damage is going down. His Q range is 365, slightly bigger, which is cool. So the duration of the W attack speed is now 2 whole ass seconds. This is amazing. The Victor W, terrible. The Warwick W, fucking amazing. Attack speed buff is now granted on the attack or spell that puts the target below the health threshold. Warwick's attack speed is now granted on the first attack on a new target that is below the health threshold. These are great quality of life things. I think Warwick's W was one of the worst feeling things when it's not working properly, and trust me, as a Warwick player, it didn't work properly a lot. Hopefully this fixes it. This is really good. Warwick's going to feel a lot better. Thank goodness. Oh, look, it's the rat. I haven't seen the rat be an issue for a while. So she's probably going to get buffed, because I really haven't seen Yuumi be talked about or really played unless it's someone who wants to AFK. So Yumi's performing worse than she ought to, and is in the fortunate position of having her most coming skill order being weaker than alternatives. We're hoping to rectify this disparity with some rank of buffs. And again, Worlds is over, so they could afford to buff her now. So her Q, and you know, it is, I mean, obviously they're going to do another patch for preseason, or not preseason, for the new season. And I think that's the place where, you know, if they start changing things now, I don't think it necessarily matters. But, you know, the new season is where they can explore and make things a little bit OP, which I think is fine. So the mana is going down by 25, which is a big amount later on compared to what it was. That's a 25% decrease. The minimum damage is going up slightly. The max damage is going up as well, by only the base though. Okay, Yumi's slightly better. Nothing crazy here. All right. And that's all the champion changes. Again, the biggest one I think is the winner, Warwick. Biggest loser, maybe Victor. We'll see though. Item queuing. Since launching item queuing in 14.19, item queuing is weird. So before we read the rest of this, item queuing is nice, but it didn't work the way I thought, where you would queue it and it would automatically buy the item for you. When you go back, you didn't have to click it, but you still do. But now you can click the item and it'll build its components for you. Now, which one it will build, I don't know. But it does build one of them if you have the gold, which I think is nice. But having the image there, I think it's okay. Like, I don't mind it being there, but I don't know why it's such a big deal. Regardless, though, we've seen improvements in new players' purchasing habits, but we have heard feedback from the components purchasing can mess up with existing muscle memory. While we continue to the feature, we've had an option to opt out of this. Wow. Interesting. And they improved the gold meter. The gold meter, I always thought that would fill up, but it doesn't. At least until now. Remove the overlapping yellow ring that displayed gold spent on components. Okay, cool. This is a nonsense change. ARAM! I'll slightly go over this quickly. Hello, ARAMers. We're hoping to adjust for today's patch. Healing adjustments. We know some frustration when dealing with excessive healing. I mean, listen, it's ARAM. And I always say this, right? I'm going to basically keep repeating myself on like a broken record. ARAM should not be that balanced. They should not overtly balance this, because it's already random by nature. And some games are just going to be unfun, and that's the way we like it. We like shitting. We don't like getting shitted on. That's basically the end of it. With the type of game ARAM is, if you balance it too much, it becomes very much unfun. So either way, we're lowering overall healing to make matches feel more balanced. Bounty gold update. Champions now accrue 1 bounty gold for every 2 gold earned from kills and assists. Oh. So they're basically making it faster. Kappa Juice is now 100 gold. You can purchase up to 25 hats. Damn it, they told us the limit. That's sad. I want to find it out myself. Sun's getting buffed. Everyone else is getting nerfed. And then Unending Despair is getting giga nerfed. Cool. Clash Tournament. I will definitely try and get in that, because I love the Clash Tournaments. Mythic Shop update. So we're going to read this. So they talked about Exalted Skins, the Mythic Shop, and Nexus Finishers. We mentioned some changes to the shop, and we kind of already went over these, but we'll just gloss over it. We want the Mythic Shop to be a place where you find exciting exclusive content. Some of our current offerings, such as Prestige Skins, fit the aim, while others, like Blue Essence, Orange Essence, and this is where they lost me, Skin Shards don't. Skin Shards definitely do. As a result, we're removing Blue Essence, Orange Essence, and Shards from the Mythic Shop. Going forward, you can expect to see us ramp up and new content offerings, like Nexus Finishers, which is basically they want to make more money, because those are more expensive. Like, they didn't need to remove them. They could have just left them. I don't understand this whole idea of removing it. If people don't want it, they just won't buy it. You should still have it there for the people who do, because I guarantee you there is probably some. As stupid as they are, let them have the option, right? I don't believe in taking options away from people. Regardless, we're exploring to bring back some exclusive accessories with event chromas, which makes them less, sadly, it makes them less unique to you now. Because event chromas, you had to be there or be square. Now it's not as exclusive, is the right word. In the coming months, we'll be monitoring what content is highly sought after and listening to feedback. Later in 2025, we'll also be improving some quality life features such as better categorization of content and clear rotation timers. They're copying TFT. So now available, we have the Finisher, which I might get, honestly, because it is Jinx, and I do have a lot of Mythic Essence. And I'm probably going to get a lot more, too, because I buy every pass. So Soul Fighter Pike, damn, they're adding a lot of shit in. So all the chromas, oh my lord. The icons, which no one hopefully will buy. And then leaving the Mythic Shop. Okay, whatever. So it seems like the Mythic Shop is getting more. I mean, the biggest thing is probably the chromas and the Finisher, but nothing crazy. So bug fix and QOL, we're going to skip all these. And that's basically it. Okay, so here we have the skins. So let's go over them. So like I said, Arcane Fractured Jinx, a lot of people are correctly critical of it. And I think that they should be. It's a $250 skin, because realistically, you could get it in one pull, but you're probably not going to. Most people are going to have to get $250 for this. The skin itself is alright. I don't mind the animations. They are a little, I don't want to say elasticy, but they're very pronounced. Like, she moves around a lot. She jumps and hops a lot. She's very spazzy. And one of the worst things was, two of her forms were like almost identical, that they had to go back and add the hood, which in Wild Rift in the phone game they already had that, unlike another skin. But for Arcane Fractured Jinx, the more expensive one, they had to realize and add it in later. It's like, it's so dumb. But is this worth $250? From what I've seen, no. I think it's a legendary. I honestly don't even think it's worth an ultimate. The only reason you could justify it even as an ultimate is because it has form switches. That's it. And the form switches were worse. Now they're okay, but they were worse. Not much changes with it. Like, again, for a $250 skin, you better be blowing my fucking wiener. This did not even slap my balls. Like, what was this? It was, again, a legendary at best, and that's what's scary. It's like, I feel like quality isn't that good. But there's people who are collectionists where they don't care. They will just get this. So, it is what it is. Arcane Professor Heimer, I'm surprised they didn't make this his like, thing. Like, they didn't do the Victor treatment to him. But, you know, it is what it is. Arcane Heimer looks pretty similar to his base, but whatever. Arcane Savior Victor looks very cool. I don't know if that's a legendary. I think it is, and I hope it is. It looks cool as shit. It's spoiling the show probably a little bit. I don't really know, and that's good, and I don't want it spoiled. But I think that's a really cool looking skin, and it contrasts really well with Bobby, aka Jace, Arcane Survivor. Jace is the Survivor, Victor's the Savior. I think the storytelling in Arcane is so fucking good, but I don't want to spoil anything. So either way, despite not seeing Season 2, I don't want to spoil Season 1. So here we have Arcane Vander Warwick. So again, this kind of spoils things, and even in the splash art itself, you could kind of see, you know, who he's jumping and lunging at. They kind of did make Warwick here look more like Warwick, less like Vander, because I think I kind of know how Vander looks in the show. But I think this is very interesting. I think, like, it's a cool concept. Again, I'm glad they didn't do what they did to Victor to Warwick. I think Warwick's current thing is pretty cool. He looks more bestial. In Arcane, he looks more man-like. But they kind of had a good a melding of it here. And then Arcane Last Stand Echo is really fucking cool. Again, I really hope these things aren't spoiling anything. But I actually really like it. I really like this skin. I'm sad this wasn't a legendary too, because if they're making this shit a $250 skin, this shit could definitely pass as a legendary. Like, this shit looks pretty nice. Looks very close to his base, but they could add a lot of bells and whistles to it with the animations and stuff. Echo has really cool abilities, so not a bad set of skins. A little bit controversial, to say the least. But yeah, there's Arcane Professor Heimer. I'm surprised that's not the ASU or whatever it is. Arcane Vander Warwick again. He looks more like Warwick. Seeing the end game for the skin, it looks kind of shitty. I'm not gonna lie. And then Arcane Last Stand Echo looks pretty good. I think it actually looks like a pretty good Echo skin. It doesn't look like, poor as shit anymore. And then here's the Nectus finisher. Whoopee! They didn't even put a GIF in, sadly. But this is interesting. Again, for 250, I don't know. This is basically the controversial patch. I think depending on how things go, and sadly I don't see them going well, because these things are probably going to do well, because most people are not informed and they don't care, they're casuals, so they're just going to buy this. Maybe not the Jinx skin, that's going to be bought up by the whales, but I don't, depending on the data they get, they will probably adjust stuff, but I don't think it's going to be anything that is going to be good for us. I think the future is dark, it's getting darker, especially for a free-to-play player. They're really getting fucked. Everything has a cost, sadly. I think the Warwick skin kind of sucks ass. Everything else looks okay. Granted, we can't really see it. Nexus Ventures are in. I mean, overall, as long as I get to see it, I don't really care if I pay for it or not. I'd like to have one maybe one day. Maybe they'll give it in the pass, hopefully, although I doubt it, with the way the passes are changing. But, yeah, no, very, very controversial patch. I hate what they did with Victor's W. I like what they did with Warwick, but aside from that, the adjustments are very, very odd. This seems like a really ass patch. Like, most of the changes sucked fucking ass, were boring, and were very minor. Honestly, giving this patch a rating, especially with all the changes and stuff, I'm honestly going to give this like a 4.5 out of 10. It feels like this could have landed a lot better, a lot harder, but I feel like they flubbed up a lot of things. They had good intentions, but they did not deliver it fully, especially with Jinx and Victor. Even though Victor's getting the VU, which, I'm not going to say he needs it. There's other people that definitely need it, like Cho'Gath, 100%. And to see Victor got it, they're just trying to, like, sell some stuff, which is fine. But overall, I think 4.5 out of 10 is fair. Again, 5 is neutral. 5 out of 10 is completely fair, but 4.5 Mark Merrills, because this patch kind of did upset me, especially with the Victor change and all the controversial changes. So, either way, tell me what you think about everything. The new systems, the new skins, it becoming more gacha. Tell me what you think. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you watched my Twitch TV Says Tecnics channel. And that's going to be it.